Call of Duty is a game all about its weapons. And if you really think about it, the weapons are our main characters. You know, we get a little bit of customization with our characters, not a whole lot. We can kind of pick our characters and pick their outfits, but that's not important. Nobody really cares about that. What we get is to customize our favorite weapons. We get to choose our weapons. We get to customize them any way we choose, and it's awesome. So today I want to talk about the most underrated weapons in Warzone, specifically the most underrated weapons from Modern Warfare. I chose to do Modern Warfare first because it's the game that most people own. You know, not a lot of people are playing Cold War as opposed to Modern Warfare. A lot of people still have Modern Warfare over Cold War. So you'll have more of these weapons unlocked and leveled up and ready to kit out, as opposed to maybe some of the Black Ops weapons that you haven't really had a chance to level up yet. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. Now, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for starting with this weapon, but at number 5, I have the Odin. Now, a lot of people hate this weapon. I'm sure some of you have probably used it and immediately put it down because it's incredibly hard to control. And I get it. I get it. It is a hard gun to control if you don't have it kitted out right. Now, I will give you guys a bit of advice with the Odin. I love the holographic sight on that weapon. I hate it on every other weapon in Modern Warfare, but it is awesome on that gun. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it just makes me feel better about the way it shoots or how I'm able to stay on target with it, but it is so much better. If you can put that and the Colossal Suppressor on it, it will do so much good. You would be surprised how well that gun handles with just those two. Now, you can either put like a Ranger foregrip, or you can kind of kit it out the way that makes you feel best, whether you want to trade some recoil out for ADS. You know, if you kit this gun out too hard for recoil, you'll have like no ADS time. It'll be like a light machine gun. Don't do that. So let's talk about stats. The Odin hits for 77 damage to the head, 62 to the chest, and a flat 48 to the rest of the body. That's almost double the Kilo and the M4. The gun's a monster if you can keep it under control, and the recoil pattern isn't that hard to predict. You just have to get used to it. Now, it does fire slow, so the time to kill can be... it almost balances out, but if you can get the jump and stay at mid-range, the Odin will absolutely decimate. Next up, we have the AK-47. I don't know why I don't see this weapon enough. It is a solid weapon that if you kit it outright, it's a monster. It really doesn't take a whole lot to eliminate the recoil on it, and the recoil is the most predictable of any gun in the game. It's straight up. Like any AK in Call of Duty history, it is straight up. If you just kit the gun out for recoil control instead of recoil stabilization, I promise it will land its target every time, and the ADS values are still up. You don't have to sacrifice so much ADS for recoil control with the AK. It's just, it won't be a complete laser like the M13 or a really, really nice kitted out M4, but the recoil is super predictable and it'll go straight. It's awesome, and the fire rate is up. It hits for 56 damage to the head, 42 to the chest, and 35 to the rest of the body. So the least you can do is 35 damage, and at that fire rate, you could down somebody long before they even know what happened to them. I highly suggest if you watch this video, please kit out an AK class that you can put in rotation. It is an awesome weapon. Please don't let it fly under the radar. I use it all the time. I love it. I absolutely love the gun. Coming in at number 3 is one of the first weapons I actually got gold in Modern Warfare. The AX-50. Now, I can see why this one flies under the radar a little bit. It gets overshadowed by the HDR. Now, I can see why people use the HDR in Warzone, because Warzone's a big map. There's a lot of land to cover, and the HDR just hits harder at range. The thing's a monster, really. You can hit somebody across map with the HDR and get it down if you're really good with it. But I'm going to tell you why the AX-50. I'm going to state my case on why the AX-50 could be your next sniper rifle. I'm going to start off by saying the X50 has the exact same stats as the HDR from mid-range to close. It hits for 250 damage to the head and 112 at the chest. Both weapons hit for this value. Now, the X50s is going to drop off at range. If the bullet falls a lot faster, it just doesn't have the same bullet velocity. But it does hit hard at mid-range. So let's say you're running up on a building and you see some teams peeping over the building with their HDRs or their DMRs. The X50, it handles so much better. It aims down sights so much quicker. You can, if you get good with this weapon, you can run up and pop them off before they even know what happened to them. It is completely underrated. That's why I put it at number 3 today, because out of all sniper rifles, it just doesn't get enough love. And compared to how really, really good this weapon is if you know how to snipe. And it might be a weapon to help you get good at sniping because it aims so much faster. The handling is so much faster. You can run so much faster. I go on and on and on about the X50. Now, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this one, so please hear me out. The SCAR. Now, before you go and dislike this video, please hear me out. There's a lot of aspects about the SCAR that I think people don't understand. And the reason why a lot of people hate this weapon are small magazine, and let's be honest, the floor loot version of the SCAR is awful. The SCARs that we drop in with in pregame lobby are awful. They're all awful. All right, I can agree with that. What I don't agree with is the SCAR's potential. I wasn't going to put this gun in this video initially. I actually started looking for weapons in Modern Warfare that were underrated even for me. Weapons that I haven't tried kitted out. And the SCAR surprised me. It was one of the most, it was the gun that surprised me the most out of everything that I tried. The SCAR hits hard. It hits as hard as the AK and it fires faster. It hits for the same damage at the head at 56 damage. What I also like about the SCAR is it hits for a flat 35 everywhere else. It doesn't matter where you hit him. You can hit him in the finger, the kneecap, the chest. It doesn't matter. It's a flat 35 damage except for the head. You know what you're getting with the SCAR. And if you kit it outright to where the recoil isn't so bouncy, you can down somebody almost instantly because it doesn't matter where you hit them. It doesn't matter. It's flat 35 damage. It's like a light machine gun. The only downside to the SCAR is you can only put a 30-round mag on it. But that's not a big deal. You know, most people carry sidearms anyways. And for as hard as it hits, yeah, you don't need more than 30 bullets to down somebody with this gun. It's insane. So that's why it's at number 2 today. Please give it a try. If you don't like it, I understand. It's a little hard to get used to, even when it's kitted outright. The recoil's still a little bouncy, but it's not unpredictable. And it's the ones that are kitted out correctly are way better than floor loot. They're way better than the crap you drop in with. It's just better. It's a better gun that people don't try because they dismiss it instantly once they pick up the floor loot. And the small mag scares people off too, and I get that. I do get that. So at number 1 today, I have a weapon that is so underrated that I didn't even consider it for this list until I gave it some real thought. That weapon is the M91. Now, I'm going to hear it in the comments where people go, Noah, why did you pick the M91? Why that random weapon out of nowhere? Because it's so forgotten. It's floor loot. People don't even think about this weapon. People don't pick this weapon up. I've never been killed by anybody using this weapon. Nobody especially ever kits the weapon out. I use it all the time, though. I love it. It's just something that's so common to find in Verdansk and Rebirth Island that it's a great secondary. I a lot of times will get Ghost and just run it as a secondary as opposed to a launcher or a pistol. And use it as like a mid to long range weapon because it hits so hard for such a distance. It hits a 48 damage to the head and 32 to the rest of the body. Now, those stats aren't very impressive, and it has a pretty moderate fire rate. It fires pretty quick. It's just a matter of how steady it is for what you're getting. It has a 100-round mag. It's like a laser beam, and the damage drop-off is way out there. You can kill somebody well across map with the M91. It's an awesome weapon, and it's so overlooked, and it's deserving of the spot today just because you don't even need to kit it out. You just need to pick it up off the ground, guys. I think that if people took the time and really thought about this weapon and picked it up and tried using it, they would love it. So that's it for my video, guys. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching. The channel's growing. I've got more subscribers. The last video that I uploaded a couple weeks ago is doing great. Thank y'all for watching. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. It is my video on bunker locations and access codes. If anything, the access codes are there in the comments. You don't have to watch the video. But they're there, and they're convenient for everybody, and I get a view every time you at least view the video for the comments. So I appreciate you guys. This has been a lot of fun. But I'll catch y'all in the next video. Until then, I'm out.